Dream Scrolls. In the city of Neo-Kyoto, dreams weren't just forgotten whispers of the night. They were captured, printed, and bound into dream scrolls, the world's most popular manhwa. Kaito, a high school student, stared at the latest issue of Crimson Blade, the dream scroll of the nation's greatest hero. One day, he sighed, my dreams will be like this. But Kaito's dreams were less than epic. That night, he dreamt he was Kaito the Valiant, facing a fearsome, three-headed pigeon. He swung his mighty cardboard sword, tripped over his own feet, and landed in a pile of enchanted trash cans. As he slept, the dream scribe by his bed, a device that recorded his nightly adventures, began to flicker erratically. A stray signal, a crossed wire in the city's dream network, caused his connection to jump. A new data stream flooded his consciousness. Kaito didn't wake up in his bed. He opened his eyes to a sky the color of a bruise, filled with two jagged moons. He stood in a forest of pale, skeletal trees, their branches like grasping claws. A cold dread, not his own, settled in his heart. This isn't my dream, he whispered. A low growl echoed through the trees. From the shadows, a creature of nightmare emerged. It was a wolf made of living thorns and shadow, its eyes burning with a cold, hungry light. This was no three-headed pigeon. This was real fear. "Get down!" a voice cried out. A girl with long, dark hair tackled him, pulling him behind a twisted root just as the thorn wolf lunged. Kaito's eyes widened in shock. It was Shizuka, the quietest girl in his class, the one who never spoke to anyone. "What are you doing in my nightmare?" she hissed, her voice trembling. "Your nightmare?" Kaito stammered. Shizuka nodded, hugging her knees. "It's always the same. This forest, these monsters, they hunt me every night." Through a gap in the trees, a dark castle loomed on the horizon, a spike of pure dread against the bruised sky. "That's where it all comes from," Shizuka whispered. "The heart of the nightmare. I can never get past the guardians." Kaito looked at his hands. In his own dreams, he could summon cardboard swords. This world felt more real, more dangerous. But it was still a dream, a story. "A story can be rewritten," he said, a spark of an idea igniting in his mind. "We're not just characters, Shizuka. We're the authors." He closed his eyes, ignoring the growls in the distance. He didn't picture a sword. He pictured a path, a safe path, paved with warm, glowing stones, cutting directly through the menacing woods. When he opened his eyes, it was there, a ribbon of light in the oppressive dark. Shizuka stared at the glowing path, her mouth agape. For the first time since he'd arrived, the terror in her eyes was replaced by a flicker of wonder. You did that?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. The path led them to a deep chasm, spanned by a crumbling stone bridge. Blocking their way was a hulking golem made of cracked stone and whispers. "You are not strong enough," it hissed, its voice a chorus of Shizuka's own self-doubt. "You will always be alone." Kaito knew he couldn't fight this monster for her. It was her fear. "It's your story, Shizuka," he said, turning to her. "You hold the pen." He focused his will, and a pen made of pure moonlight materialized in his hand. He offered it to her. Shizuka looked from the pen to the golem. Her hand trembled as she took it. The pen felt warm, alive. Hesitantly, she lifted it and began to sketch in the air before her, leaving trails of silver light. She didn't draw a sword or a shield. She drew a friend. A small fox, woven from threads of starlight and courage, leaped from the tip of her pen. It landed silently on the bridge and let out a defiant, chiming bark at the golem. With the little fox by her side, Shizuka's fear began to recede. She pointed the pen at the golem. "You are not my master," she declared, her voice ringing with newfound strength. "You are just a memory." She drew a single glowing word in the air. "Fade." The golem crumbled into dust. They crossed the bridge and entered the castle. But inside, there was no monster king, no dark throne. There was only a vast, empty room. In the center, on an easel, sat a single, perfectly blank sheet of paper. The source of her fear wasn't a monster, but the terror of a blank page. "Every story needs a first line," Kaito said softly, placing the moon pen in her hand once more. "You don't have to create a masterpiece. You just have to start." Shizuka walked to the easel. She took a deep breath, and with a steady hand, she drew a single, graceful stroke across the paper. As her pen moved, the world outside the castle windows began to transform. The bruised sky softened into a dawn of pink and gold, and the skeletal trees sprouted soft green leaves. Kaito's eyes snapped open. He was in his own bed, the morning sun streaming through his window. Later that day at school, he saw Shizuka sitting by the window. She wasn't staring at her desk anymore. She was sketching in a notebook, and when she saw him, she looked up and smiled. A real, brilliant smile. Her own story had begun,